Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Home Building Hub. Colin here, co-host with Darren Brennan as always. And in this episode, we're going to go through some really basic understanding of outlining the differences between buying new or building new versus buying a second-hand home. Daz, that's what we're going to cover today, aren't we?
Absolutely. And I love the way you said secondhand, Cole, because, a lot of people talk about the established market and it's given this prestige of being established. But I must say, when you get a new home, there's something so special about it, right? And when you walk into a second-hand home and the person's been a chain smoker and, the joint's somewhat, 10 years old, 15 years old, could be 50 or 100 years old, there's just not the same as walking into brand new. And I think it's undersold. And so, I've been talking to a few friends in the industry and trying to change the dialogue out there. So our industry friends, if you're watching on and listening into the podcast, I'm going to encourage you from now on, we don't compete with established homes, we compete with second-hand homes. And for our real estate friends out there, I understand why you call it established, so it's okay. But I must say we trump you because we build new homes and they're magnificent. So we'll leave it with that. I know it's a bit of tongue in cheek, right? But there is some significant differences between those, and really looking forward to this episode. What I will say, there is a fee for the podcast, so please, if you're liking the podcast, and I'm sure you're going to like this episode about new versus second-hand homes. Again, I'm just touching on it again. I want to get that in my dialogue. Then please share it with a friend. Share it with a real estate friend even. They can ring me up if you want to give me a call and have a chat about it. Feel free. Big shout out to a mate of mine, Grant Nielsen, who's been sharing this same dialogue. So I'm going to let him know he better listen to this episode because we've given him a shout out, and share this episode with your friends as well, Grant, so that we can get this message out there. It is, you're either going to buy a brand new home or you're going to buy a second-hand home. So, mate, let's kick in. Colt, give us a bit of a rundown, mate. What are some of the differences between a new home and a second-hand home? And I think we've got a top 10 today, mate. So let's go with number one.
We do have a top 10, so that makes things easier for people to understand. Now, I guess you can kick off with number one, but before you do, what I'd like to just highlight is at the end of the day, it's do what's right for you. Okay, so for some people, a new build is the best thing for them. Some people, not an established, but a second-hand home is the best for them. No different to a car, right? Everyone, you'd want to buy a new car because it's a new car, right? Sometimes you have to resort to the second-hand one. So I think I just want to establish that, Darren. We're not going to try and convince people that there's only negatives with buying second-hand. There are some positives, but this episode's about the positives of building new and reinforcing some of those for you. So you kick off with number one for us, Darren.
So number one is stamp duty. So one of the big costs is stamp duty. Certainly, and I've got some examples here in Victoria, but when you purchase house and land and you do them as two separate contracts, you're going to pay stamp duty on the land value only because that's a real estate transaction. So for an example, if you buy a block of land and it's $300,000, then the stamp duty on that, if you're going to live in it, and it's not in a rural area, so it's in a built-up area, would be approximately $11,370. If you were to then say, well, I'll buy an established second-hand home at $600,000, so double the price, the stamp duty would be $31,070. So there's nearly 20 grand saving there in stamp duty alone. The thing I'd say with the stamp duty is you don't get anything for that. So if you've got 20 grand and you go and spend that on your home, you might, that's a pretty pimped out kitchen, Cole, on a brand new home, for example, that you could spend that 20 grand on. So, the stamp duty component is a big factor in people making a decision around buying secondhand or buying new. So, yeah, there's number one for you. Think about the stamp duty.
Nice. Just noticing here, Darren, it's very dark on my screen for those watching, so apologies for that. Just setting up the new place. So see if we can sort that out. Not that anyone's missing anything by seeing a silhouette of me, Darren, I would have thought. But anyway,
Colin is a dentist. We can't reveal his face on the screen. No.
that's right. My next one, or the next one, is warranty. So all new builds do come with a warranty, and some builders, I guess, extend that in some cases. 7 years is the bare bones minimum, Darren, but some people go to 10, 15, up to lifetime, right? And there's some builders that do that and some that don't. But really the product warranties as well, and I guess the stuff that's within the house, it's all brand new, so you get the warranties associated. So if the oven does something, then you can ring up the oven people and sort it out from there. So that's something that really gives peace of mind, and the reason for buying new in any case is because you do get those sort of warranties. You're talking about, I guess, bricks or roofing, or, as I said, appliances, plaster, paint, carpet, and so on. Whereas you don't get any of that when you buy a secondhand home. Maybe a good example, Darren, I could use, we actually recently went through the process of buying a spa. And I was absolutely categorically adamant I'm going to buy a secondhand spa, because buying it brand new is a ripoff, is what I thought at the initial stages. Then we're looking at secondhand ones, and I'm like, I don't want to take the risk, because obviously with a new one you get the warranty, the service, that whatever you need for a certain period of time, which gives you that peace of mind, and you got to pay more for it. Like, we all know that, a new car, new spa, whatever. In the end, I went with the new one, whilst there was a price difference. And the reason I did that is because of the peace of mind, the comfort that I had, that if I bought a secondhand one and it turns up in the backyard and there's a little crack that I didn't know to look for because I'm not a spa expert, or in the actual, underneath the spa where all the wiring and everything's going on under there, that again, I don't know what to look for. Same with new homes. It just worried me enough to prevent me buying that secondhand one, Daz. So I think warranties is a very important, if not the most important reason, for, I guess, from a comfort point of view. So number 3. Oh, you go.
So
Yep.
just on the warranties, if you buy a secondhand car, and I'm pretty sure the threshold's 3 grand, but forgive me if it's higher or lower, but there is a threshold. If you buy a secondhand car, they've got to give a 3-month warranty. Right, and a lot of them will give a 1-year warranty, but you don't get that when you buy a home. It is completely buyer beware. So, and I know for ourselves, when we've bought secondhand homes before, that sometimes that comes with challenges, because you get there and then you find out the heating doesn't work, and you didn't even think to check it. So now you're up for thousands of bucks to get a new heating unit in. I know we sold a property where 2 days, literally 2 days before we were due to settle, got a knock on the door. The neighbours had come along and said, the tree in your backyard is uprooting our house, and we're going to pursue you for that. And I said, listen, my wife's not home. Can you come back in 2 days? And we didn't own it then, right? So, but that's buyer beware, right? And that's, just the way it is. So, be mindful, when you're buying new, you're getting these warranties, and they're extensive. Number 3, you get a choice of design. So you can choose, you want a 3-bedroom, you want a 4-bedroom. They're the choices you get to make, right? You get to choose what's there. So you want to move a wall potentially, and you work with your builder and they're okay to do that, you can move the wall, right? So you've got those sort of choices. If you want to do that in a second-hand home, you've got to renovate the joint, right? And that can be tricky. It may not be all that easy just to move a wall, right? It might sound easy now, but reality is it might not be. And there can be substantial cost and inconvenience to renovating a home. What I did hear, I heard a stat the other day, about 90% of people who renovate a home say they'd never do it again, right? But about 90% of people who have built a home said they'd build a home again. Right. So I just thought it was interesting to sort of hear that stat that renovating, living in a partially renovated home and living through that can be pretty torturous. Middle of winter, it's pouring rain, you got a tarp on your roof. It's just not fun at all. So yeah, that's number three, mate. Is you get to choose the house design and how that's going to work for you. Yeah, so I think it's a really cool option.
And in some cases, you get to customize or personalize that design depending on what the builder lets you do. So
Absolutely.
it's a really good benefit. The next one for me is similar to number three. Instead of choice of design, it's actually choice of colors. So this new process, I guess this new build process enables you to choose whether it's just color palettes done by one of the color consultants who really know what they're doing, or if you want to go through that process of attending a color appointment, which is where you do your colors and your upgrades, and most builders will have a showroom of some sort that enables you to go and pick those things. It's actually a really fun part of the process, Darren. So if you're really passionate on being able to have the walls the way you want them, as in the colors you want, and the cupboards and the flooring and everything the way that you want from a scheme point of view, with some advice and tips from the builder, you can do that with a new one. And I think that does really play an important factor, Darren.
You can even choose the toilet, Colin. And when you choose the toilet, you can know nobody else has used it, which is really cool. So I often throw that in with people as a bit of someone else has used the toilet. People get a bit
Yeah.
freaky over that. So
Well, the
um,
upgrades are important. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Number five is you get to choose or a choice of orientation. And what I mean by that is, if you go to the land developer down the road and they've got plenty of blocks to choose from, well, you might want a north facing, you might want a south facing, east or west to suit the house design you're after. So you can actually have that conversation. And particularly couple of weeks' time from now, we move into the 7-star territory, and orientation is going to become really important. So having that choice is really important. So choosing that, get the most amount of sunlight into your home, make the home feel nice, light, and bright, is going to be really important. And a lot of people love that fact when they are buying new versus buying secondhand. You don't have that choice. It's that house on that block. It's the last one of that version, right? So you've got to take it as you see it. You can't go, I wouldn't mind turning that 90 degrees. I'd get a bit more sun in my, while I'm eating my breakfast at the dining room table. You just can't do that, unfortunately. So yeah, over to you, mate. Number six.
Yeah. Leads to the next one, which is about, as you said, about to happen very soon, is 7-star rated or energy rated home. So it's obviously going to be, as a new home, it's going to be more energy efficient than buying a second-hand one. And particularly, about a week after we air this episode, that'll be the case across, you know, most of Australia, really. I mean, the requirements are there. So the reality is that your home will essentially be more energy efficient. And if you are looking at things around, there'll be solar panels on the roof, things like that, it'll probably save you a bit of money as a result too. And your footprint will be, a much more healthier footprint than an old established or second-hand home that chews up the money on the bills. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a big one. And I also think it becomes a tradable commodity as well, which will be when you want to sell that home later, that if you've got a 7-star rated home, as bills continue to rise, people are going to be looking for that. So a really smart real estate agent's going to be promoting that. It's a 7-star rated home, right? You're going to save on your bills in the long run. So, certainly, get those certificates. Don't throw them in the bin and have them ready that if you ever choose to sell that home down the track, that you leverage that, because you could be in an old 4-star and that's costing you 700-800 bucks a month in electricity bills in the middle of winter versus a 7-star home that's costing you 100, right, potentially. And again, they're just throwing some random numbers out there, but it's significant that the saving that will provide. So cool. I'm number seven, Cole. So number seven's less maintenance. And obviously when you get new, you don't have to worry about trying to upkeep stuff. So again, those warranties kick into place. But also the fact that it's brand new means you don't have to worry about painting a wall and, getting the carpet cleaned and doing all these sort of things, the house is going to be in good order, and it should be in good order for a long period of time. It's not to say that the external of the home's not exposed to the elements and it might need a paint here or there, but even simple stuff like in the times gone by, people would use zinc aluminum gutters and fascias, or timber fascias and zinc aluminum gutters, and they need painting and maintenance, or they might have timber windows. A lot of windows these days are aluminium, don't need painting. Gutters are color bond, so again they've come with a really extensive warranty on those. I'm going to say it's 50 years, and sorry my mate Sammy if I got that wrong, but the warranty on that's significant. They're going to last a long time, and you're not going to have to maintain those. So I think that's a really positive, is that low maintenance, carefree, more time to spend with your family on the weekend than swinging on a paintbrush doing stuff. So
yeah, definitely a factor. Ripping out a few tiles because they've got the old blue and orange and yellow flowers on them and stuff like that. Like, that's not fun. You don't want to be doing that unless you have to. So, yep. Even just the having a nice sort of semi-frameless shower screen rather than a clunky old school one and things like that. Like, it all adds up and it all matters. It's just nicer. So, the next one for me, Darren, is more to do with our where you build. So one of the positives of building a new home is you can build it in an estate that has amenities and community and other families doing it at the same stage in life that you are, with young kids coming through or planning on having kids, etc. So we've had Rory on from Villawood as one example. If you go and build in a Villawood estate, you can be sure that it's going to be uh, full of, I guess, families, or full of other people looking and believing in the same value of that estate. It's got community amenity in terms of, it might have a swimming pool or a gym and all those sorts of things, like right there around the corner. And I think that adds a lot of value to buying in an estate like that. It's really something that must be factored in, Darren, I reckon. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and some of those, you get. I love the competition around parks in these new estates. It's not the old metal slide that you burn your bum on as a kid, right? In a
Yeah.
in a built up
Yeah.
area, right? They're like epic. They've got water parks in some of these. There's all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
going on. Rory spoke about the slide that they put in Alamander. They made that big that it was, you could see it from the moon nearly, and they've got the ship at the top of the hill. And that competition between estates and new estates is just continuing to grow, and they're delivering better and better parks. I've watched just locally, they've put in basketball courts in the park just down the road in the Integra estate here in Ballarat. They've got really cool climbing structures, and they just do such a good job, and it's a great place to want to hang out, right? And often these estates are trying to make parks within about 600 meters of where you live. So, it's not far. A few minutes walk, you're at a park. It's just really cool. So,
Yeah, I've been, again, Darren, I've lived in an estate like that just recently. Same thing. It's just families everywhere, because it
yeah,
had a water park called the Crocodile Park up in Saltwater Coast, and they had a couple of pools and gym there and all this sort of stuff, and local shopping centre as well. And also, in that case, they had local schools. So they had the doctors and all that sort of stuff there, all purpose built for that estate, and everyone wrapped around it, So it just made life a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit easier, I guess, for people to meet one another, but also, jump down to the IGA if you need a few things. And I think they put so much more time, energy, and effort into producing a master planned community, that you get so much more benefit from that if you're buying in that one of those estates these days than just buying an old house in a street that's been there for a long time. So, yeah.
yeah, it's great. Number nine. Number nine, Cole. So, I guess you're building to today's standards, and what I like about that is, even in my time in the industry, there's been a whole lot of changes. So, particularly with slab designs, where now they're beefing them up, adding more steel, making sure that your home is built to the highest quality. So that, these evolving standards, as they realise, over time that it might need to be built a little bit stronger or whatever. So those things I think are really important. You're getting brand new that and if you reference a car, right? If you go and buy a brand new Hyundai today versus a brand new Hyundai from 30, a second hand Hyundai for 30 years ago, you don't get the safety stuff in the old one. You don't get the Apple CarPlay. You don't get electric windows. You don't get all these things that are really nice. And you can buy the base model today and get all those things included. And I think that's the joy, is that even at an absolute standard home, straight off the shelf, like the inclusions are going to be fantastic. And a lot of people get caught up in that thinking, oh, hold on, I didn't, it's not the tap, the handle I wanted or the tap that I wanted. Like, take a chill pill. Like, you're going to get magnificent inclusions at standard from just about every builder out there, right? So don't be afraid of what you're going to get as standard. And know that, yes, you can upgrade, but if you compare that to what you're going to get in the second-hand market, it's going to be often vastly superior. So, and it's new and it's warranted and all those sort of things. So, you building to today's standards is a fantastic thing. So, number 10, mate, lucky last. What is it?
Number 10 is rounding it all, I guess combining it all and rounding it all together, is the fact that the home's new, right? That's probably the be all and end all of the discussion. Is building a new home is always going to be better than buying a second-hand one. We already know that, as do you, but it's really, I guess, Darren, like we said at the top, it comes down to your own personal circumstances. It comes down to your budget, all those sorts of things, because buying a second-hand home in an area that you really want to live in, if that's right for you, then that's right for you. Yeah. But in terms of the home itself, and having said that, I guess saying this because I've just moved into a house a few weeks back, there's a long list of things for me still to do, odds and ends and bits and pieces to hang up and put this and do that, furniture to buy and all that sort of stuff. If I had to go into an established or a second-hand home, there's going to be a long list that I've got now with a new home, plus all the renovation or the maintenance and all that stuff. So it just sounds like too much of a headache, and I'm happy to pay a little bit more to get what I actually want rather than to, inherit someone else's house from previous days, So at the end of the day, it's new, and that's the main benefit. And if that's what you're looking for, that's what we encourage you to go and get.
Absolutely. Nah, great, mate. I think it's a ripping episode. Apologies to our real estate friends out there, but I think it's just being real. It is secondhand. That's the truth. So we're not hiding from the truth. When you build new, you're getting new. When you buy secondhand, you're getting secondhand. So, keep that in consideration. Hopefully, some of those points will, make you realise what great value we're offering in the new home market.
And it probably wouldn't make sense, Darren, if we started listing all the pros of second-hand homes, would it? I don't think that'd flow very well with us, but there are some there as well. So we're not saying it's a bad option. We're just obviously pushing our own, our own experience in the world that we live in, Darren.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, great. Good on you, Cole.
Thanks, guys. If you like what you're seeing, like what you're listening to, please leave us a 5-star review on the platform you're on. If you've got a question, topic, idea, jump on to homebuildinghub.com.au and that'll come through to us in the Contact Us section. And other than that, guys, thanks again for listening or watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
All the best. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Home Building Hub. As part of the podcast, we have to be a little careful to cover ourselves on a legal standpoint. So we do have a disclaimer. Whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered legal or financial advice. It does contain general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your own personal situation before you make any legal or financial decisions.
1, 2,